What are your thoughts on dating in 2020?
Horrible.
Why do you say horrible?
Okay, now this is getting
This is great. This is a great topic to
This
to
is
talk about.
very controversial, and I don't want people to hate me for this, so I don't really like talking about stuff like this, but I'll totally talk about stuff like this.
Here we go. Point the camera your way.
Men and women, we are at a divide here. We are at a divide, okay?
All right, keep going. Keep going.
We are transferring from this
I'm curious to see where you're going with this.
brutally Christian, Republican America and world that we have with the suppression of women. I mean, women couldn't vote, all that type of stuff. We all know that shit, okay? And the woman's place in a household and, you know, thinking like, oh, women don't want to have sex and all that stuff. They're not sexual. But then you have the elusive porn stars, and it's like, for me, it's just a big contrast is crazy between men and women these days. It's not like it was. It's like, back in the day, I guess women were supposed to be suppressed and guys were supposed to be the man in the house or whatever. But it wasn't agreeable, and women stuck in relationships because they had to. Now women don't have to. That's why there's so many divorces, so much conflict. Women are standing up for ourselves. Like, there's this line of feminism going on and all that stuff. You know, as long as you stand up for yourself and you can meet a guy that has an eye-to-eye view with you, but a woman and a man don't have an eye-to-eye view. You have a dick, I have a pussy. We have different emotions, the testosterone in your body versus the estrogen in my body.
So women, obviously you understand that. Okay, obviously you understand that men and women are very different.
Very different.
Right.
And I don't like it.
Here's the thing that I think the problem is. I think that women have been lied to, but probably not in the way you think.
Okay.
I think one of the main reasons that there is such a, and I would agree with your I don't agree with your diagnosis. I would agree with the conclusion that men and women are very at loggerheads. They're very they're butting heads these days. Yeah. There's all that. We're meant to be complementary. We're not meant to be. We're not meant to be like battling each other. Men and women are made to be complementary to one another.
Exactly. I cannot find anyone to compliment me.
But we're fundamentally different, which you just agreed to, right?
Yes.
Which means that we like and we want different things, right?
Yeah.
And I think what the problem is that women have been taught over the last at least the last 50 years to be men. They've been taught to be the same. They've been taught like, you need to be a strong, independent woman. You need to go out there and earn your money and fuck this guy at home. Like he doesn't have to provide for you. He doesn't have to look after you. You need to make your own bag. You need to do this. You need to do that. Don't have kids. Do this. You know, like. Yeah. And I think that's like, and 50 years later, where are we now? Like everyone's not very. People aren't really happy.
Yeah.
Relationships, like you said, divorces are happening left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So that means we've done something wrong.
Something definitely.
Something fucked up.
That's why I think, personally, and from a personal perspective, like the household I grew up in and the type of father that I have a very conservative father, and I'm not very conservative at all.
You don't say.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You don't
extremely
say.
liberal.
Does porn, smokes weed.
Yep. I'm totally LGBTQ family.
Would get pooped on her chest for money.
Yes, exactly. Like, you know, like I'm completely opposite. I just just watching like how crazy my childhood was and having a, you know, all that stuff. I was just like, I don't think I want to date. And then I was like, okay, you know, I'm in love with the idea of love. So I dated this one guy in high school, which was 4 years ago now. And he completely just ruined my ideals of love and all that stuff. And that's when I went.
Why?
It was abusive.
In what way? Like
physically and
physically
mentally,
abusing. Mm-hmm. No, that's fucked up.
Physically and mentally. So I was just like, you know, I can't do this anymore. So
you know, I'm going to say something kind of controversial here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which don't take it the wrong way.
No, go ahead.
But I think that a lot of women, because I hear stories like this a lot. Mm-hmm. I hear stories of this, like, okay, I was in a really shitty relationship. The guy was abusive in this way or this way. Mm-hmm. I think that women are actually pretty bad at selecting partners.
Okay. No, you're not wrong at all.
Like for relationships. I
think 100% agree. I've got daddy issues.
And I think maybe that's because they haven't been told or taught mm-hmm. how to vet for a partner.
I 100% agree.
Right, and I think men are the same too. Men, don't get me wrong. Men make the exact same mistakes. Men get into bad relationships, so they end up getting married. They get fucked over in divorce courts. They get fucked over in child support, stuff like this.
And because I'm super big into psychology, I think it's a super big issue of our parents' traumas coming down onto us, making it harder for us between the stress of ourselves, our relationship with the world, and just trying to be a human being and connect with other people. It's hard because you were dealing with the trauma from your parents that they put onto you, and then you're trying to have a relationship with a whole nother fucking person, and then you bring out your traumas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my parents.
There's a lot of that.
My parents didn't give me trauma.
My parents gave me a lot.
They just gave me a roof over my head and food in my belly.
God.
I love them to death. Yeah, but that's like I said, I agree with the conclusion.
Yeah.
I just think it's from a different. I believe the reason for that, the reason that we're at loggerheads is different from the reason you think it is. That's fine. We're allowed to disagree.
That's okay.
And we're allowed to disagree.
That's okay.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Look at that, guys. Look, see, this is called a civil this is a civil discourse.
Exactly. See, we're man and woman. We have different opinions, and that's okay.
We obviously have different perspectives, and we've obviously got different experiences.
And that's what makes you who you are, is the experiences you've been through.
That's right.
You know?
But yeah, I really think that, because look, if people talk about where we're at now, like, and people talk about, like divorce rates are up, men and women are at loggerheads, and they try to point the finger at, like, oh, we're in this very conservative republic. Like, I mean, forget the Republican thing, but we'll say we're in a patriarchy, we're in a conservative patriarchy, whatever, right? We're less of one now than we were 50, 100 years ago.
Correct. Yes.
Like back in say around World War One, World War Two, right?
Yeah. 40s.
I don't think you could argue that it was less conservative than it is now. Like we're obviously more. Obviously then in like say World War One, obviously was a more traditional conservative society than it is now, right? Mm-hmm. But we didn't have the divorce rates. We didn't have all this sort of stuff going on. Because
it was like this thing called The Family. There's actually a documentary on Netflix.
The nuclear family.
Yes, I learned about that one.
And that's what I think is, like, I think a lot of people just want to have, like, we've been sold, especially in America, we get sold this idea, this sort of celebrity lifestyle. Mm-hmm. People get sold this glitz and glamour, and here's what will make you happy, like being on a $1 billion yacht and driving a fast car and shopping on Rodeo Drive and being an Instagram famous or being a YouTube celebrity. All this stuff is going to make you happy.
No, it doesn't.
And it fundamentally, what actually makes people happy is really basic, simple shit.
Yeah.
It's like close friends and connections, and like a strong family bonds. Always like not everyone can have that. Obviously, not everyone gets that, but everyone that I know that has strong family bonds is very happy, right? So it does lead to a happier life, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think another reason why I don't like the dating market these days is also myself. Like I said, personal traumas, you know?
So do you find it, let's get back onto that.
Yeah.
I was going to wrap up. This is actually really interesting because we're still talking about stuff I don't normally talk about on this show.
Yeah, no, I love talking about psychology and like people and like brain and just, you know, I think at the end of the day, I've been in relationships where, you know, I've gone and I've seen my significant other. I've been happy to see them all day, and I go home and, you know, I've had the perfect day. This actually happened to me the other day.
You had the perfect date.
Yeah, I went out to San Diego. I saw my family in the morning, which I haven't seen for a year. I went out on a hangout/date with this guy. It was the most amazing thing ever. He's perfect. And I'm sitting there while we're watching the sunset, and I just get really sad. And like, I'm just like, you know, this is like, I'm getting sad in the most perfect place.
Why do you think you got sad?
It's because of the internal shit that I deal with, you know, the back of my mind.
Do you think it's like a... Because I'm trying to figure out what about that made you sad, as in like what triggered it.
I think
I'm not thinking like the conditioning, like the trauma.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like what in the moment were you depressed about? That this wasn't as exciting as it could have been.
I think it was because like the wind was going through. I saw the sunset. I was looking at this palm tree, and I looked down and I saw this old couple like walking, and it triggered me because it was an old white guy and a young a old Asian woman, and that's my dad and my stepmom, dead ass.
Okay. Well,
it triggered me
that kind of makes sense.
Like I was just like, oh, you know, like
yeah.
got me. And then I see like other couples around me, and you know, when you go back to the what's the dating market like? I do porn, and just, you know, people are always gonna look at me a certain way or another, however you want to see me for what I do. And I sometimes do get scared. Am I ever gonna get a relationship because I've done porn? But at the same time, I'm gonna be either freaky on camera, off camera.